And in a bit, we'll show you all the numbers. But let's connect with the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Abdullahi Dinapo, who's joining us from his offices here in Accra. Honorable, good afternoon to you. I appreciate your patience on waiting for us. But let's look at the report that you received from the committee that investigated ECG's activities. How damaging is this report?
Quite damaging. Very, very if you read the report, you get very, very worried. Over the years, ECG could do all this, and so far, we have already given some instructions. For instance, the decision to merge the procurement directorate with the estate unit, we've directed that should be reversed. We should have a standalone procurement directorate with qualified approved provisions. In 2024 alone, they procured more than 700% what had been approved to them by the board. More importantly, we've asked that they give us some periodic updates in terms of their essential goods and services that they procure. A lot of the containers that we found stuck at the port, the items, they did not need them immediately. Some containers arrived, they had items, they claimed that they couldn't clear the containers, but they were still awarding contracts for similar items. All top, and then we'll keep monitoring them. But the most important one has to do with the whereabouts of those containers.
Indeed.
The briefing I got this morning, and let me comment the National Security Operatives and the law enforcement agencies. The information I got this morning is that already they've traced about 40 of them to a particular terminal or warehouse in Tung, which belongs to an Indian man of extraction, and they've confiscated all the 40 containers, and they are moving them to a secured location. The man indicates that those containers were sold to him last year, and so that's a subject of a matter of investigation, and the law enforcement agencies would ensure that the law takes its course. There are also reports of some other areas that they are picking intelligence. They will trace all of them, retrieve all the containers as soon as possible, and put the perpetrators before the courts of competent jurisdiction. Let me just sound that when we start prosecuting these people, let nobody come to say we are witch hunting. These are properties of the states. Every legitimate and legal means to ensure that we retrieve them and to hold all those behind these acts to account. And so we'll continue to work hard and ensure that we retrieve all these containers.
In tracing these 40 containers, have any arrests been made yet?
Yes, the national operatives have already picked up this Indian in connection with this.
Well, it would appear we have.
And like I said, I'm not even interested in the politics. I have no interest in the politics. My main interest is to retrieve this and put them to good use.
Well, Honorable, it would appear we're having difficulty connecting with you over the internet, but would restore that connection and bring back the rest of our conversation. But Honorable, we lost you when you were telling us about the arrest made. Could you go over that?
Yes, I'm saying that one person, an Indian man of extraction, has been picked up by the national security. 40 containers have been intercepted. He claims that they were sold to him last year. The investigation would continue. We want to secure the containers first. And at the right time, we'll go with the media to take a look at the containers. The law will take its course. I am not interested in the politics, and let me be clear about that. My interest has to do with the containers. This, for me, has nothing to do with the political party. When containers are stolen, we have to ensure that the law takes its course, and that's exactly what we are doing.
I see. Now, Honorable, I mean, these 40 are part of the over nearly 1,300 that are missing, or part of the remaining of the 2,500 stuck at the Tema port?
We suspect that these are part of the 1,300 that are missing. The remaining ones are at the port. The national security is helping us to secure them as well. Now, our interest is to also secure or trace the whereabouts of the 1,300 containers. And then we can make sure that we get the over 1,300 containers, account for them, and put them to good use. What I want is simple. We want all the containers accounted for and secured.
I see. So when will ECG clear the remaining 1,200 containers?
National security is helping us. We want to move them to a secured location. We have a warehouse. They will provide security. Just that we want to go through a rigorous process by taking serial numbers and everything. Let me also thank the Director General of the Ghana Ports, General Tanya. He's been very, very cooperative. He's doing a fantastic job, providing us with all the information we need. There's always a manifest, so we can trace these containers. It's just a matter of time where we would get to know exactly where those containers landed. And whoever is responsible, whoever, and let me make this clear, whoever, irrespective of your political affiliation, your tribe, your position, the law will take its course.
I see. Now, Honorable, just before we let you go, a lot of people have been asking for explanation as to why their power keeps going off. Which one can you offer? Which explanation can you offer? Well, it would appear that we are not able to connect with Honorable on that question.
Hello.
Yeah, Honorable, if you can hear me, I'm asking what explanation can you offer the Ghanaian people as to why they experience power outages, especially in recent times?
Yes, the problem we had to do with the Kumasi enclave, where the power situation was quite alarming. And it was because we were changing a particular bulk supply point in terms of the bulk transformer. But as I speak to you, that has been done. And so we shouldn't see any major problem. The remaining one has to do with the localized issues in terms of the distribution end. And some of these things contribute to that. Because if you have 2,500 or so containers stuck at the port, it means that you needed them in order to inject into the system. And so if from 2002, 2003, 2004 to date, all these containers are stuck at the port, certainly it will impact the grid, it will impact the distribution network. And so that is why I'm even determined to ensure that we get all these containers and inject this equipment into the system in order to stabilize the system. Fortunately, we have enough generation as I speak. And so if there are any localized outages, we need to rectify that immediately. I've asked that the system is set up so that we can quickly deal with these challenges. And I am hopeful and very confident that the system will continue to improve as we move on. This is what we inherited. We've just been in office under 3 months, but we have to work very hard in order to ensure that we deal with the situation. And also, the complaint systems. It's not everything that I would see. So we are beefing up the system so that when a particular area goes off, ECG can be notified immediately and then they can move in swiftly and deal with it.
Very honorable. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Well, that was the Energy and Green Transition Minister, Dr. John Abdullahi Jinapor. But there will be more on this because Mawena is looking at the issue concerning ECG by the numbers.
And we're getting straight into it with respect to ECG, and we just had the minister detail in some quite extent what the problem has been and the work that's been undertaken thus far. But these are the top state entities currently which bring in quite a lot of losses with respect to their operations. The Electricity Company of Ghana, which has been the subject of conversation, leading the chart, 47.2 billion cedis, and that cocoa board follows. But let's try and get into the details in relation to ECG and what really the numbers have been since 2021, where since 2021 up until the 2023 financial year, there's been 18 billion cedis in losses from the Electricity Company of Ghana alone. Now, in walking you through really what the challenges have been, here's what we know, and of which we've been seeking to get responses from the minister, where he's been providing details of 1,328 plus containers gone missing at the ports. Well, we're getting updates that 40 have been tracked, and there's been some arrests made, which the minister has been telling us about. But all of this is costing the Ghanaian taxpayer 1.5 billion cedis with respect to the monies accruing in failing to clear about 2,500 containers from the ports. Now, walking you again through what the issues have been for the Electricity Company of Ghana again, we know as well that there's been over 348 million cedis in monies not paid to 6 independent power producers, of which the West African gas pipeline as well constitutes a part of. Then there's been a 5.3 billion cedis in revenue underdeclared for the year 2024, which was captured in that audit done by PwC with respect to the revenue of ECG, which amongst many other things highlighted as much as 80 plus accounts being run by the Electricity Company of Ghana. They've been directed by the Energy Minister, who we heard from a short while ago, to operate a single account for the collection of all of their revenue. Then we know as well, with respect to the troubles of the Electricity Company of Ghana, that over 490 million cedis in discrepancy in revenue collection was discovered in 2023. Then there is 136 million cedis as well worth of emergency bought without authorization. That has to do with fuel as well. And then 14 CSOs filed a lawsuit against the Electricity Company of Ghana due to procurement breaches, and that as well has been the subject of recommendation by this new administration. Now, of the many troubles as well in relation to the Electricity Company of Ghana, between 2016 and 2021,